Hey y'all, this is my first really unscripted video on this channel. All I have here are some notes, so don't be surprised when my speaking patterns or whatever just aren't what they usually are. So like, years ago, I saw this video on Critical's channel. I mean, he was just like, what, Penguin Zero at the time? Whatever. And he was playing this game called Mr. President. It was just a beta at the time, a demo or whatever. And I did end up downloading it, and I thought it was kind of like, oh yeah, this is kind of fun, whatever. And I thought, you know, just okay, whatever. So years later, when the Mr. President game came out on Steam, I decided, hey, I'll pick it up. I kind of like the demo, so I might as well, throw a couple bucks at devs' way and pick up this product. The problem was that the game wasn't that good. In fact, it was pretty terrible. I'm no fan of Trump myself, but like the game's humor is kinda, like juvenile, like base level political. I mean, satire is like too strong a word to use for something like this, really. And just generally, like, and that's not even the worst part, like the game just controls like just complete crap. Like it feels like only about half the time what you input into the game actually works. So, that's kind of a problem in itself. I think there was only like one time the game ever made me laugh, which was in like, the game takes place in like different zones. The one you're seeing in this video is like the border between Mexico and the United States. And the one in China, there's one where Rump, or I'll just call him Trump, falls into like this thing of ramen or noodles. And it says that MSG kills again, and like that made me chuckle. Like that was the smallest like emotion in like a positive sense I felt while playing this. And since I spent like, it had to be like at least 15 bucks on this. Like I was really trying to get my money's worth that day. Like I was bored and I didn't want to play anything else. Like I think I'd been playing like Dark Souls, and I put like 30 some hours in Dark Souls, and it's like, man, I need something new. So I really put more time into that game than I really should. And I ended up refunding the game. That was the first time I ever refunded anything on Steam. And because refunds, I don't think it existed long at that point. This was recorded last October, by the way. And it was just like what you're looking at now is me failing this thing over and over again, but this actually isn't the reason why I refunded the game. I kind of blame myself for this because, as you'll see way later in this video, I've got some like subtitles for it. It'll probably be long after I finish talking. I just am randomly smashing on the keyboard or just randomly pressing buttons, and I find one that does this like front flip thing that I never used in a previous stage. Like this game has like a list of like special moves you can do that usually aren't useful in the slightest, and that was the only way to get through that level, which kind of like, it made me mad, but it felt like, I think it was on the pause screen or something, like if I had just looked, then I would have realized or whatever. Like I just needed to be smart enough. But later in the game, there's like a commencement ceremony or something. It's like this stage, and there's one where you have to save Rump by like going down on this rectangular or mattress thing down a slide and like jump over them. It's so uncontrollable that like I just had to stop playing. Like all the fun was gone, and within like an hour of like that, like the game was refunded. That's it, I was done. Now you may have caught there that just a second ago I said that I recorded this last October, but of course, like, the video is coming out way later. And you may be thinking to yourself, like, why didn't you make a video back then? And the problem is I was at the time just kind of recording like random videos just in case I ever wanted to use them for anything. So I was just opening up games and recording. This was the same time I recorded the footage for tracks that I used in the channel statement video. But I also, like, despite me having things to say about it and things that I want to say so bad I still remember what I wanted to say, I did want to make a video on it because it kind of felt like clickbait. And I know what you think, like, even if I made like the long title that I'm going to use for this video, like, it felt like clickbait because it was one of those games that was like really popular on YouTube at the time. Because, not only like the election, but look, it's the silly, like, whatever, like, from like Video Game Donkey to like, I don't know, like Jacksepticeye, people like that. Like, you could make good content for whatever your audience is if you do silly stuff based on a video like that. I even saw like 2Clicks Philip do it. Like, he usually does like tech stuff or game development stuff, and even he made a video on it, but I mean, he didn't like it. He hated the game even more than I did. But the thing was, like, I don't want to, even if I have something to say about a game, And I'm gonna get into a couple of games like this in a second. Like, I almost don't want to sometimes, because just, I feel like there's such a stigma, like, among more critical and serious YouTubers to do, like, to talk about really silly games, even if you do so in a serious light, because it feels like you're trying to piggyback off, like, the success of other videos. And, like, even I still worry about that. Like, even because I know I've looked at other channels and I've seen videos on there, like channels I like, and I've seen videos on there like they probably only did that for views. That's why, like, here's just a little tidbit, right? So remember that 6 Doom mods video I made? It was originally gonna be 5 Doom mods, but then I thought to myself, I don't know, like, I'm thinking kind of stupid then. That video's got like 4,000 views or whatever. I was thinking, I can't have this be 5 Doom mods because that feels too clickbaity, because like 5 and 10 are like the numbers that people want to watch. So I went with 6, and I threw in like another one, although there's way more than 6 Doom mods that deserve to be talked about. Ooh, my chair squeaked. But now, you know, I want to talk about those other YouTube games that were in the title of the video. And the 4 I had in mind, like instantly, like games I know that I've enjoyed, but are also, you know, essentially like, ooh, look at me, like little kids can watch this because I can scream a lot and laugh a lot, you know, that kind of game. The 4 I have in question are Goat Simulator, I Am Bread, Octodad, Deadliest Catch, and Turbo Dismount. And I just want to talk about each of those in like order. So the first is Goat Simulator, which I think is also easily the most successful. I remember back in the day watching one of the trailers for Goat Simulator, which might still be on its Steam page, which was, it was having like, you know, like trailers will have quotes from like Kotaku or Gamasutra, and it'll be something like, oh yeah, this game's best at E3 or whatever. And for Goat Simulator, they had like a quote from PewDiePie on there. And I don't even remember what he said. Like, he could have just been like, oh my, this is like the coolest game I ever did see. But, you know, it also could have been as far as like, whoa, I'm gonna laugh so much at this. And like, it would have been the same to me, right? Because, I mean, PewDiePie is a pretty swell guy, especially, you know, because he does a lot of charity work. But like, even then, like, I see something like that and I almost want to avoid it. But I only want to avoid it in sort of like the YouTube sense, because I like silly physics and ragdolls and stuff like that. Like, I find that amusing on my own. Like, I'll play Goat Simulator on my own and like never watch anyone else's video on it and like enjoy it just fine. And I think like that's the problem with Mr. President, is you will get more enjoyment out of watching other people play Mr. President than you will get out of playing it yourself, like guaranteed. Because playing it yourself is just so frustrating. Which brings me to I Am Bread. So I Am Bread feels more like an actual game than Goat Simulator. Like Goat Simulator, at least when it first launched, before like the DLC, like the MMO stuff, was like purely like ragdoll simulator. Like, you'll just get points and you'll unlock these silly like powers, and you know, that's cute, whatever, that's it. But I Am Bread actually has like objectives and levels and stages, and you know, it's probably, of the 4 I'm going to talk about, it's probably the one I like the least. I mean, it's not so much I would refund it, but it's just too frustrating. Like, when you're going to have the like a silly control scheme, which all of these games have, like, you might as well use it just for pure enjoyment. Now, there's some people out there, I'm sure, that love I Am Bread. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, go ahead, keep loving it. But, like, the game, like, saying it takes itself too seriously feels wrong, because it's still very humorous, but, like, it's just too hard. You know, that sounds weird, because I'll play, like, really hard games. Like, I'll play Doom on, like, Nightmare any day, but just the way games shouldn't be difficult from how they control. And when you got a game like Goat Simulator, or not Octodad, but like Turbo Dismount, and it's just the silly controls mean, like, more fun, like, that's fine. So anyways, let's move on to Octodad. So Octodad, I think, is like a nice harmony, because it still has like silly, somewhat weird controls, but it's still like, it's not difficult enough to make the game unplayable. Like I Am Bread, I mean, I Am Bread's not unplayable, but again, it's still like it's in a very nice mid-ground, and I think of these games, it's probably the best like video game. Like, I will go back and play Octodad every once in a while. In fact, my biggest problem with Octodad Deadliest Catch is that it's too short. Not that, like, there's any, like, severe problem with the gameplay. So I feel like if you want to, like, there's a nice, like, mix you can find there between having, like, difficult stages and just being pure fun simulator. And now we're gonna get to Turbo Dismount. I think Turbo Dismount is like the least known of these ones. I did look it up. There's like this guy, it's like Dan TDM or whatever, who I've never even heard of, but he's got like videos on it where he's got like 8 million views or whatever. So I know like this is one of those games, even though I bought it for different reasons. I in fact bought it because years ago in like middle school or like early high school, I had this game on my phone called Stair Dismount by the same people, and I thought that was really fun. And that's like really special because I usually hate most phone games. And you know, Turbo Dismount's like Goat Simulator again, where it's mostly just a points game. I mean, a little bit more than Goat Simulator, because in Goat Simulator I felt like the points didn't matter, but like Turbo Dismount has a clear high score system. But I mean, you could just play whatever level you want. You can open up the workshop, play whatever, and I don't think your score really matters to any extent other than your own like personal like, woo, yay, I did it. So, you know, when it's a game like that, like it doesn't control that great, but it's fun to, you know, do stuff in slow motion. So, all in all, like, I'm kind of, like, to make a game, like, I'm not sure, like, any of these people directly made a game specifically just for, like, YouTubers. But, you know, if you make a game and you intend it to be for YouTubers, as long as the game's, like, still fun, I think that's fine. And, you know, overall, I'm kind of mixed on it. Because, you know, if you make a game, right, that you intentionally mean just for YouTubers to, like, play it. Just YouTubers, like, have them play it, have them be, like, laugh and scream and whatever, and, like, that's it. And you tend to use that as, like, a marketing strategy, essentially, by making this ridiculous game, so, like, hopefully people will buy it. Like, if it's still good, that's fine, but I feel like if you make a game so attuned to get them to laugh and get them to enjoy it, it almost feels like you're tricking people. Like, I don't mean that in, like, an intentionally, like they're using, like, brainwashing or whatever to trick people into thinking, like, this is some, like, masterpiece. But I think, like, if I were, like, 12 or whatever, or 10, like, I'm 20 now, so, like, you know, brain's a bit more developed. But if I was, like, a 10-year-old, and, like, I love Jacksepticeye, and I saw him playing, like, Mr. President, and I saw it on sale for, like, $5, like, I'd probably buy it. And it's not fun. Like, again, it's great for, like, reacting to, but it's not that fun. And I went ahead and looked up on Steam Spy. Mr. President sold about 100,000 copies, which is, for, like, you know, for an indie game from, like, an unknown, like, developer, publisher, like, that's pretty fantastic. Like, I can think of, like, I'm pretty sure, like, most Guilty Gears don't even have 100,000 sales in Steam. So, like, that's all I'm saying. Like, if you're gonna make a game for YouTubers, make it a good game, please, because people are gonna buy it up based off those videos, just based off those people's reactions, not rather how good it is. At least I think so. So please just make good games. That's all I have to say. Make good games. And that's it. Thanks. And this video is probably gonna go on for a bit longer. Go ahead and close it, but trust me, I do eventually beat this level. I know it may be hard to believe, but I actually do. Thanks for watching.